It's time for a little bit of a trip back in time with this guy. It is the Transformers Animated Deluxe Class Blurr. And he's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe. And while you're at it, loud of my baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is Animated Blurr. Animated is a line that sort of missed me. I wasn't really deep back into collecting during that line, and they do certainly have a very stylized and unique aesthetic. But every time I look at these guys, there's a certain charm that I find with them. The plastic usually feels good, even with the more slender kind of limbs. A lot of times, the plastic feels durable and robust. Will this guy live up to that same sort of hype that the Animated line has given me the times I've looked at it? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And yes, indeed, thanks to Maximal 10, we're going back in time just a little bit today to take a look at Animated Blurr, and he is a member of the Cybertron Elite Guard. He talks at a brisk pace. He's also quite intelligent and fairly well enunciated, if I'm being honest. I love this alt mode. It looks absolutely spectacular. It's very blur bluish, and it rolls so well. I love those tires. The only thing that I kind of have a problem with this guy is, boy, oh boy, that's not much of a back of the vehicle, if I'm being perfectly honest. But the rest of it though, come on. Look at the paint. Look at the molded detail. Look at the front. It's pretty glorious. Underneath, you can see some robot stuff, but I mean, it's Blurr and it's a Transformer, and you're gonna see robot stuff. This guy was released in 2008. Which makes him, as of this recording, about 14 years old. He was a deluxe at the time. We're going to, keep that in mind as we kind of go through here, just for fun's sake. I think this mold was also used for Transtech Cheetor, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I could kind of see a Cheetor out of this, if I'm being perfectly honest. A lot of paint, a lot of detail. I mean, tail lights, come on, you don't get this glory a lot of times anymore. Very interestingly, it's only the center of his rear tires, as thick as they are, that roll. Weird, but I assume that has to do with his method of transformation, right? I don't have instructions, I don't have a box. We're going to do the transformation, and then we'll talk about all of his kind of grades and scores thereafter. Now the transformation for this guy is a little bit, I don't want to say bonkers because it's not, but it is definitely a little bit interesting. To begin, we're going to pick off the rear tires from these little tabs here, and I like to angle them down. I find that it gives me just a little bit of kind of room to work. Obviously, the guy's going to get much taller. I'm just going to adjust the camera here a little bit to give us some space to work without hopefully too much interruption. There we go, just a little bit more. I'm going to take these and turn them around because we're going to have to do that, and I'm going to open out a toe, and I'm going to open out kind of a heel. Or maybe this is his toe and this is his heel. I can't remember now. We'll see as we go through here. Turn this around. I know that has to happen. And again, the toe and the heel go out. Then we have to kind of pick that off the side a little bit, and this is, I find this to be, I don't want to say a nuisance because it's not, but there you go. And same over here, we gotta sort of, kind of, there, pick that off a little bit. Then we pick out an arm and pick out an arm from the side. I was shocked when I discovered that they were arms, kind of brilliant though. We're going to take this piece here, and it kind of angles down here on the back. We're going to take the hood piece and lift it off, and it comes off in the kind of traditional Blurr shield sort of motif. Then, without kind of doing the legs first, we have a black hinge here that comes all the way up and becomes the shoulder, so it comes all the way up, and then we can turn an arm down, and we can rotate out. Using this hinge here, we kind of rotate the leg up and out thusly, and then we can bring it forward and bring it down on the ball joint. Really weird, wild movement, but I absolutely love it. So again, on this side, we bring the black armature up and in to become an arm, we bring the arm down. Then we bring the leg forward. You'll see that there's a ball joint in here and there's a hinge right here. A hinge right there. We bring that forward for the leg. We bring the ball joint forward and we stand it up. This is really kind of essentially the guy done. I'm going to stand him up, readjust the camera, and we're going to do the last couple of little bits and pieces for him. Okay, and the last couple of bits are quite simple. We come here and we rotate the arm around. I love that when you rotate the arm on this ball joint, it kind of moves this little panel sort of automatically out of the way. It's like they both move in unison with each other. I love that. I think that's just, it's just some like clever little engineering there. And then the head, we just turn it around and boom, in the end, here we have Animated Blurr. For the record, for anybody wondering, here is his hood piece. We press that button and this Energon thing comes out. He can hold it in his hand, I think. Pretty sure he can. I'm going to double check that right now, actually. If I can find his hand. Maybe it can't. I know it can go on his arm, because that's where I put it, and if it can go on his hand and I'm missing it, I'm sorry. This isn't mine, so I really don't want to like force stuff if it don't feel comfortable. Ooh, if it don't feel super comfortable to me. Let me just get him sort of set up again there. And here we have him, now that I got him kind of repositioned here. Now we have him next to a couple of other well-known Blurr Deluxes, the Studio Series 86 one down on the end. Naturally, that one is shorter. Fun fact though, that one and this one are very similar in mass. The Studio Series one, a little bit lighter, of course. But, you know, difference of 14 years. I don't know what the original Animated Blurr cost, but, you know, just let you know that it's, when we talk about mass, we're not talking about height. We're not talking about size. We're talking about the amount of plastic that's in something, right? How it's distributed can be very different. There's a difference between the Studio Series 86 and the Animated of about 2 grams, nothing major, but you can see that their size is extremely different, right? So just taking this guy out of it, I just thought that was an interesting little note to make, because a lot of people will say to me, when I talk about the mass, they'll say, well, the weight doesn't matter. Well, I'm not doing weight, I'm doing mass. Completely different measurement, and some people will say, you know, yeah, it's not about size. You're right, it's not about size, because both of those are about the same mass. But you can see that their size seems very different. This guy's size, based on his height, I would say seems very Voyager-ish, even though it's not. Fun fact, again, this guy is the heaviest of the Blurrs at 111 grams. A lot of people, of course, know this Blurr as a comics iteration, right? They'll point to the like IDW run as this Blurr, but a lot of other people have said, you know what? There's very, very strong tones between this guy and the Animated. So much so that some people that are Animated fans who wanted an updated version tend to leave those shoulder pads, leave those shoulder pads up. And I get it. I understand why you would do that. I see the reminiscence here. I see the comparison here, for sure. So I'm going to take him out of it. In terms of the transformation, I love this guy's transformation. I think it's brilliant. I'm going to give it a 10. I love it. In terms of the kind of paint apps, the look for the guy, well, Animated was really good at matching the animation to the kind of toy character model. And if we look at that starting from the top down, I mean, I'm trying to point out where there might be issues. The black tips are probably still supposed to be blue. The biceps are black. The forearms are dark blue. The dark blue on the torso. The waist is black like it's supposed to be. The blue on the outside of the thighs. The blue on the hips and then the black on the upper thigh. The light blue on the lower thigh. Turning the tires around, honestly, I mean, maybe there should be some of the darker blue right there on his toe. I'm going to say it's a solid 9.9. Like, it might not be exactly perfect, but it's darn close. So a 10 and a 9.9. I will also note that this shield piece, if you don't want it there, it can go back here using these 2 ports on his back as well. So, I mean, that's up to you. I'm just going to lay it aside for now. What about the articulation? That is the last part here. We have hips that can go forward, hips that can go back. No thigh swivel because of the cut joint that's used for this, but I mean he can do that. I don't know if you want him to do that. I guess there's a thigh wiggle on the ball joint, but not really a swivel. 90 degrees at the knee. No real ankle tilt, but the toe and heel both tilt to the sides, and they tilt forward and back. A lot of people have said that was done with the feet to give him the ability to have some great running poses. I tend to agree. Shockingly, he's stable on those little feet. I wouldn't think that he would be, but he really is. We can also say that he has an ankle turn, right? Which is a unique joint. The arms can go all the way around. You might have to take the shoulder hinge out a little bit. In terms of the shoulder, I mean, if you take the hinge way out, you can sort of get like this, but if it's all the way up, I mean, I guess sort of behind his head a bit, like you're not getting a lot with the shoulder outward movement. That's a bit of a bummer. We do, however, have the bicep. You can sort of fake it, right? 90 degree at the elbow, and I mean, it can go across his body, it can go down, so I dig that. No real wrist, but there's a lot of play there on the arm. The head can go left, right, look up and down, and he has a waist, if I didn't say that. The shoulder limit, that's the only thing that's kind of a nuisance with this guy. You can sort of work around it, but it's a little bit of a nuisance. That being said, because of the, I guess, dynamic nature of the ankles, the feet, and the like lower arms, you can actually get a lot of really interesting poses. I'm going to say that the articulation is a solid, I'm going to say it's a solid 9. Overall, we had a 10, a 9.9, and a 9. The guy's a solid 9.5. It is an excellent blur. I would imagine it made an excellent Cheetor. And it was a good size, as slender and svelte as he is. Everything functions well, feels well. It doesn't feel like anything's going to break or anything. The plastic is nice and robust. If you are an animated fan, man, Blur has to be one of the top dogs. I've looked at a few animated, and this is one of the ones that I find the most fun. Overall score about a 9.5. How can you argue with the fastest car going? And here we are once again, and here is Blur. So the transformation, I think, is brilliant. I love it. I love how the legs become the rear of the car and the arms become the front of the car, basically. With pieces of the leg becoming the lower half of the car and pieces of the arm becoming the upper half of the car. It is the epitome of incorporating the entire body of the robot into the alt mode, right? With not whole robot underneath, not all scrunched up like Earthrise RC or something. This is incorporating the whole body. The articulation is all right. The shoulders, with the huge shoulder pauldrons on them, like, it's a bit of a hindrance. I guess you could sort of work around it a bit, but like, that don't look good. Outside of the shoulders, though, every other hinge is pretty great. This piece is a nice shield. I don't know if this is a blade or what it is. It's kind of like a saw, I suppose. I love how, like, down around here, all of this whole section, his ankle, his foot is all so unique. I was worried about his stability with the slender legs and the little tiny feet, but he stands like a champion. So, brilliant transformation. Acceptable, pardon me, acceptable articulation with the limitation of the shoulders. And in terms of the accuracy, I mean, it's nigh on perfect. There's not much here not to like. And we even managed to learn a little lesson about the dispersion of mass and how it's not a reference to size, it's a reference to what's actually put into a product. Little bit of food for thought, a little bit of a lesson today while looking at a really tremendous offering from Transformers Animated that now, some 14 years later, is still absolutely tremendous. Let me know what you think about the original Animated Blur. I still think he's brilliant. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Spring, or of course, hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stick around and have some fun with us, and that somehow, some way, each and every single day. And this isn't me just saying it, it's the absolute truth. You do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.